Phil and Whit went on a walk. On a whim, they went to see Steph. She could whip them up a snack. She was a whiz with a whisk. "Which snack do you want to munch on?" said Steph. Whit would want a big snack, but Phil would want a small snack. "Let me have a whack at this dish," said Steph. She whips up a dish to munch on. Phil and Whit got a whiff of the dish. "Yum," said Whit. The pals were glad they went to see Steph on a whim. All right, grab your highlighter. Now we're going back up to the top. And what do we see in our title? On a whim. There's the word whim, and we see our WH. Let's highlight that. Good. Let's go down to our story. We're going to go sentence by sentence. If I'm going too fast, just click the pause button, and then you can click play to catch back up with me, okay? Phil and Whit went on a walk. I see two words in that sentence that have our PH and WH. I see Phil, that has our PH at the beginning, and I see Whit with our WH at the beginning. On a whim, they went to see Steph. Here's whim, that's our WH, and Steph. Notice with Phil, we saw our PH at the beginning, and with Steph, we saw our PH at the end. Remember, it can be found in both places. WH can only be found in the beginning of words. She could whip them up a snack. What word do you see? I see whip. She was a whiz with a whisk. There were a lot of words that had woo at the beginning, but notice how just whisk and whiz are the only ones with our WH. Good job. Let's go to our next paragraph. Which snack do you want to munch on? Said Steph. What words do you see? I see which, and I see Steph. Whit would want a big snack, but Phil would want a small snack. There's Whit again, and we have Phil. Do we see anything else in that sentence? Nope, let's move on. Let me have a whack at this dish, said Steph. We see whack, and that really means like, let me give it a try. Let me have a whack at this. Just means let me give it a try. Steph. She whips up a dish to munch on. There's whips again. Last paragraph, ready? Phil and Whit got a whiff of the dish. Now we have Phil, Whit, and whiff. Whiff means to smell. Like you get the smell of the dish. Like you got a whiff of it. You got a smell. Yum, said Whit. Highlight Whit. Last sentence. The pals were glad they went to see Steph on a whim. We have Steph and we have whim. Good job, friends. Let's talk a little bit about what this story means. So to do something on a whim means to do it really without planning. You just kind of decided last minute. And so Phil and Whit decided sort of last minute that they wanted to see Steph so she could whip up a snack for them. They didn't have any plans. They just kind of thought about it and thought, yeah, let's do it. That's what it means to do something on a whim. Now you're going to take a few minutes and you're going to draw and color a picture that tells us what's happening in this story. We know we have 3 characters. We have Phil, Whit, and Steph. So you should have 3 people in your picture. I want your picture to be realistic. I want you to use crayons to color it in. You can use pencil for the drawing if you want, but I'd like to see people bodies, not just stick figures. I want you to try and draw people. It doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to be a perfect artist, but I want you to do the best you can to make it as realistic looking as you can, so that when I look at your picture, I know what's happened in the story even without reading it. So you should draw at least 3 people, and we should be drawing a snack. Now, did our story tell us what kind of snack they were munching on? No, it just says she whips up a dish, but it doesn't tell us what kind of dish. We don't know if it was chips and dip. We don't know if it was tacos. Maybe it was mac and cheese or hot dogs. So you can get a little creative here, and you can make it whatever you want, as long as it is in as part of the story and as long as it looks realistic. Okay, friends? Go ahead and get started.